Today we have some new vintage-inspired spring decor DIYs. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first is going to be a wood box floral. I have this little box here that I got from the thrift store a while back. I've used it before. We're going to keep that foam in there. I've got some greenery pieces that look kind of springy. I don't know what you want to call this, maybe a berry pick of some sort. This cute little ornament and a stick. Look at her little chicks, or her little ducks. We're going to use some antiquing wax and a chippy brush. I have these little branches, blooming branches, willow maybe. And then I got some of these from Temu. They are dandelions. We're going to start off by making a pick out of this sweet little girl ornament. Now this came from Temu. I have a big package of these, so I have several more of these. All kinds of little different pieces. You'll see those more in our spring decor. I'm just going to put that on the back. Now in order to cover this all up in case it is seen from a different angle, we're going to just trace it out on the white scrap paper. Very easily done. And then I'm just going to roughly put it out and glue it on the back. Nothing like watching somebody do the entire process of tracing. Okay, then we're just going to cut it out, and then when I get it ready, we can put it down on the back of that ornament. All right, little hot glue, and we're going to get it right in place. This is your friendly reminder that you are not alone. If you need someone, if you need help, if you need someone to talk to, find somebody who will listen. You are not alone. You are in my prayers every day. All right, so I'm going to add a little hot glue to the top. And this is just because she has a little hole there that you can hang the ornament with a piece of jute. But we don't need that, so I'm just going to fill it in with a little hot glue, scrape off the excess so it's flat, and then use some paint that's a similar color of her bonnet and just dot that in there. And it kind of makes it disappear. Nice. We'll put her aside and we'll work on this box first. I'm just going to use the back of this cardboard. I do this all the time. I use it for hangers. I use this extra pieces of cardboard for this exact reason, so we can offload paint and waxes. Then I don't have to pay for anything. I don't have to wash anything. I can just put it straight in the trash. All right, so I always start off light. You know that. So I'm just going to start adding on to see how much color I want on here, and then I'll slowly build that color up to the warmth that I choose. Since it's a white box, it's kind of reminded me of either farmhouse, which is great if that's what you like, or it's reminded me of wintertime. So I really want to get some warmth in that wood. And by adding this wax to it, I feel like I've really aged it and made it look a little more rustic. So we're getting a little rustic here with our beautiful vintage pieces. All right, let's not forget the top of the box. You can also get little wood boxes in a smaller scale at Dollar Tree, maybe, and use those, or use something you already have that needs a little facelift. All right, set it aside and let the wax dry. While we are waiting on that, I'm going to go around, because these have like a white outline. That sounded so incredibly country. We're going to go around here and just color that with that wax, and that's going to brown it up a little bit. It's going to age it and just really make the color on the inside pop. I'm going to move on to the florals and start cutting these off at a reasonable length. You can always cut them more later, but it's harder to reattach, right? Now this is so easy. I could practically go by the same holes that were already in the foam here, but I want to show you that you can just take your pieces, even with floppy wire, and cut it off, add another piece of wire to it. We're going to go to the four corners, and then I'm going to add some more in. I want to do these kind of outward. I don't want my pieces to be straight upward. I want this to be a more relaxed, rounded piece, and I'll show you how we'll accomplish that look. Now I'm going to use the dandelion in the middle. This is my tallest dandelion, and I'm going to use it to kind of help us decide how tall it's going to be. So you can get an idea how tall it will be. And then I can start adding the rest of them also at a angle going outward. You don't have to be real precise about your angles. Just, get them in there where they look nice. And by all means, if you like all of your arrangements going straight upward, make it your own, and you can do that. But you see here how it's starting to have that kind of a domed or rounded look on top? I really like that for these little vintage style arrangements. So we're just going to continue along and place these in here. Now, I've had people ask me on some of my videos where I have used Temu products, why I don't put the links in the description box. Well, there are a couple of reasons. The main reason is that these are not sponsored videos. And because I'm always encouraging you to use what you have and use what you can afford, or use stores that you believe in, or if you want to do all USA product, whatever, whatever the reason is, make it your own. So I don't take the time to put all that in there because I don't want it to look like I am pushing that on anybody, if that makes sense to you. But if you ever have a question and you ever need a link to something that I have, I would be more than happy if you just leave me a comment to grab the links for you. I do it all the time for people. I don't mind it at all. So now I'm moving into the woodier pieces, which are these willow pieces. This is willow. And then look how pretty this bright pink or this fuchsia looking color is. What would you call that color? It's really pretty. We're using that in there, and it really looks great with that yellow. Really pretty. Then I'm just going to add some of the little pieces that were shorter. Add those little bunches in there. And I'm trying to sort of mimic the entire thing all the way around. So there are 4 sides, and I want it to look similar on all 4 sides, pretty much. Now underneath, I'm going to go ahead and widen it and flatten it out by adding some more of these little branches. And I'm pushing these at a very low angle. So they're sitting underneath the greenery that we used. And that greenery is boxwood greenery. And it is some that I got at the thrift store. These came out of another project that I had. So I can't link those, but you can find similar things at Dollar Tree. So feel free to go over there and grab you something. I love the little flyaway pieces, and I love the way this looks wild and natural. I don't like a well manicured floral arrangement, generally. I like it to look a little wild, and your eyes are bouncing all over the place, and there's a lot of interest. For me, that fits my personality. And see, I'm kind of flighty myself, and I'm kind of an anxious person, kind of wound a little tight. And so all of this busyness just works for me. I love it. Okay, now I'm just going to find a little spot where she would be beautiful, where we can still see her, but she's nestled down like she's in a garden. All right, so now since I didn't use green foam, if you use green foam, no worries. But if you don't, you can always take something like moss. You can use Spanish moss, reindeer moss, whatever type of moss you have. Moss you can get all the time at Dollar Tree in their little garden decor section. So you can use that to go on the inside. You can even paint your foam. That would work perfectly as well. I've done that before, and I think I actually do that in this video. So I'll show you what you can do for that situation. All right, now I'm just looking around at all the angles and seeing where the white spots are, because if I see any white spots in there, I'm going to add a little bit of that greenery to it. Because we have so many picks in there, I'm not even going to glue it down. It should stay right where it's at. This would be so pretty sitting on the end of your bar or sitting on your table. I love this. I absolutely love it. And I hope that you do too. What colors would you use? Hey, come check out my new videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. I'll see you in the comments. Our next project is a vintage framed bunny. Now the bunny itself is not vintage, but we're going to make that frame look old and rusty. So these are from Temu as well, but you can use any window cling or wall cling that you can find. It doesn't even have to be bunnies, it could be spring flowers, and you can get those at Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a frame, some white cardboard, I'm going to use school glue, some celery chalk paint, because it matches what I have in the bunny picture, and some chippy brushes. Also going to use a piece of corrugated cardboard. We are going to start. Y'all look at me, I got a new haircut. Can you see my reflection? I got short hair now, y'all. We're going to take the glass carefully and put it aside so we don't cut ourselves or break it or, anything like that. Could use it on another project. Clean the frame as usual. I used a damp water wipe, and then I'm going to just use a little bit of heat on here just to dry it. Then I'm going to put my glue down in the tray. I'm just doing it like this because it's a place where I can put it and dip into it easily. That's why it looks kind of sloppy on there. I just needed a tray to put it on. I'm going to grab that brush and I am going to put a thick layer of glue all over the place. Now with the glue, you can go back and forth, and I also added it onto there's some raised areas. So on the inside, there's a little dotted line decor around the edge, and on the outside, it's like a filigree sort of pattern on the outside. So I think this was going to be great for us to use to make this look old. And we're going to do a lot of distressing and aging to it. So yeah, I hope you like it. All right, so I've got this on here. Don't let it dry. You want to immediately go into your paint. I'm going to add the paint in the bowl, which I could have done with the glue too, but hindsight. And then while that glue is still wet, I'm going to dip into that paint. I'm going to load the brush up with however much I want on there. Not too much. We want to be able to have some streaking, and I got a little heavy when I first put it down. When you put your paint down, you're going to do it lightly, and you're going to go in the same direction. You don't want to go back and forth. You want to go in the same direction and try not to touch it more than you have to. I think that's the problem I have when I'm doing a crackle paint finish, is that I feel like I need it to be more even, but you don't. When things are aged and chippy, they're not even, right? Okay, I'll get over it at some point. But you see, I'm going in one direction. I'm trying to make sure I get in the corners and all that. Trying to get one direction. I keep touching that top corner because it's just too heavy, but it's okay. Then I'm making sure that I get the outside of the frame and right on the inside of the frame. So then I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to hold it far away from it so I don't bubble up my paint. And I'm just going to start drying it. I actually do this for a few minutes, and then I'm going to put it in front of a fan while I move on. Then this is how it looks once it's dry. I've got my crackled sections. I got some heavier, some lighter, but it looks old. I really want that filigree to show again, so I'm just going to go back over that with a sanding block and just bite down right through that paint so I can still see that decorative trim that's on that outside. Y'all, I've got to have a sip of coffee. Okay, so now we're going over the dotted line on the inside because I want that to show as well. And I'm going to wipe all that chalk dust off. Now you can see the little sections. You can even see the drip I left on there, but I'm okay with that. Okay, I've decided I'm not going to put the glass back in here, so I'm just going to pull all these little tabs out. And if I wanted to use the original tabs and put it in there, the picture would be flat. What I want to do is make some dimension because we're going to add something in the bottom of this frame. So what I'm doing now is just tracing out the size of the frame onto this cardboard, and then I will cut it out with a utility knife, or you can use your scissors. But when I'm cutting cardboard that's thick with scissors, it tends to go sideways and I don't get a sharp edge. Like I went sideways right then with that blade. But the blade's a little easier. You just have to be super careful, okay? I don't want anybody losing their fingerprints, all right? If you do something wrong, I want the law to be able to find you. That's right. And that goes for glue guns too. Protect your fingers. We don't want to lose our identity. Okay, so we're just cutting through there. I flip it over and then I cut through the paper part on the other side. This does not have to be super nice because all you have to do is take a sanding block and sand off your edges or clean it up with a pair of scissors. It's going to be on the back. You're really not going to see it. Okay, so once it is ready, if we measured correctly, it should fit right on the back. I'm going to remove this hanger because I'm not going to need it. We're going to try something else for this. I'll save it though because I can use it on more pieces. Now it's going to fit with no overhang on the ends. And I have now got to trace off my piece of white paper. See, the reason I'm using white paper is because when you put on a wall cling or whatever, you can kind of see through it. It is not opaque. You can actually see through it. So I want to make sure that it pops, and in order to do that, it needs to be on white, or it would be very dull if you put it on cardboard. Does that make sense? Or if you use like a striped paper or decorative paper in the background, it would fade out. You could see it right through your print. I don't want that to happen, so I'm just going to apply it right onto the white. I'm using some hot glue. I'm going to put this right on top. And then quickly, while that glue is hot, I'm going to take a little squeegee and press that out. Y'all, I have a bobo on my finger. You see that Band-Aid on my finger? You know what I did? I was walking up the stairs. Something stuck in my foot. So I reached down to grab it out of my foot, and it went into my finger. It was a piece of glass. I don't know where it came from. There's really no telling. But anyway, I cut my foot and my finger with the same piece of glass. Yeah. But that's why I have the Band-Aid on. So I'm kind of babying my finger a little bit, and I hope y'all don't get grossed out by Band-Aids and stuff, because I couldn't help it. And I really wanted to finish this video. But I love y'all. You know I love you. Okay, so I'm going to peel part of the backing away. Leave some of it still on. For me, this is the easiest way to do it. But if you know another way that works, go ahead and do it that way. And I'm going to put him down. And my bunny is going to end up being a little crooked, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. Ooh. Oh, no. Oh, look at his ear. I ripped his ear. Oh, I ripped his ear. Now what? We're just going to put it back on. Look at that. You have to be super careful. I would like to say that it's because I had a injury to my finger that I was not working at 100% capacity. That's what we're going to say. It was my finger's fault. It was a glass problem. That's what it was. All right, so now I'm just going to take the little squeegee and press all this down carefully on the ear, since I have already damaged it. But I'm not going to stop. You can see a little crack there. It's hard to get it exactly lined up without overlapping, but we're just going to go with it. It's going to add to the vintage look, right? Now this is going to fit great on here. I can just flip it over, use my staple gun, but you can use a good strong glue if you would like to do that, or hot glue. But I've got some shallow staples, and they work really well for this. I can press down into that cardboard because it's corrugated, so it's got those little lines in it. I can press straight down into it. It's not going to damage anything, and it'll hold this all in place. Nice, nice. And it's really not heavy because that's not really wood. It's like a resin, I guess. So you can stop there if you would like. But I thought, since he's a little crooked, maybe if we added something in the bottom and kind of level out the landscape, you won't notice as much that he's kind of crooked. Y'all might not even notice it, but I do. It drives me insane. Okay, so now we have an area gap in there, if you will, of about 1/4 inch, where we can add stuff to it and tuck the edges right into the frame itself. See there how I'm tucking it in? I'm going to just take that moss, put it on there, and just push it down with my fingers. You can use leaves here. You can use flowers here. Underneath anything that you put in here. If you use flowers, you can make some stems with sticks and make like a 3D, floral right in the frame. It would be so pretty, I think. Just do it your way. These videos are for your inspiration. All right, so since we use this in the floral arrangement, I thought, why don't we use some of this in here for him? He's actually munching on a leaf, so let's give him a little grassy area to be in. Bunnies don't like necessarily to be out in the wide open if they can help it. They're always nervous and looking around and twitching their tails and their ears, so let's give him a little shelter here so he doesn't feel so anxious while he's having his meal. And he might even be eating some of this willow. Who knows? I'm hiding the branches down in there. I'm giving it a variety of height in these just for interest. It's such a fun little project. And again, because this frame has the vintage look, I'm calling this a vintage, but if you have some type of a printout or a bunny that's vintage looking and you put in a frame that is distressed like this, I think that would really sell the look. So this is such an easy hanger, and I use this all the time because when you use a string like this, you can move it back and forth to make sure that you get it exactly at the right, I guess I want to say level, so that it's leveled so it is not like crooked on your wall. You know, you can slide it back and forth on your hook or your nail, whatever you have there. Yeah. I love that sweet bunny. Thank you to all my channel members. You help my channel financially so everyone else can enjoy free content. You can find info on becoming a member in the description box below. Okay, the next is our mini floral gift idea. This is a little stand that I got from Hobby Lobby. And these are some greenery pieces. I've got a little thrifted piece of flower, and then I have these little flowers. Some crocus yellow paint and a brush. Beautiful yellow. This little thrifted basket. I'm not even sure what these are used for. But here's the measurements at any rate. And you could use a teacup or a little bowl. And then this really pretty trim with the beads. And look at this little precious girl. Look at her. Now, she's got little ducks too, but all I had was a little chick. But I thought, you know what? We can get away with it. We're going to use the chick. Here's a little piece of white foam. I love to use my foam scraps. I always like to save them. So I'm going to take this really pretty yellow. It reminds me of like the banana saltwater taffy. That's the color. I don't know if it's coming across like that to you, but that's the color of it. It's very pretty. I'm going to color the whole thing on the outside. Just one coat of paint. Doesn't need any more than that. And then right on the inside, I'm going to do yellow right on the inside where the little scallops are. Now the foam doesn't have to be glued in. After it's dried, you can just press that foam right in there. Nice. I'm going to take a little bit of this green paint just to show you. You can add some green paint. This stuff is thick, thick paint. It's a new bottle too. And then go over it with a brush. I'm not even going to go all the way to the outside. Let it dry though. Now I am going to do the same process. I'm going to fill in that hole with hot glue, let it dry, and I'll take a little purple paint and just dot that right in that little opening. Let it dry. Okay, when your pieces are dry, we can decide, do we want it this way or do we want it this way? And I really like the idea of flipping it upside down and using this as a little pedestal. And these are, I guess, like a little cupcake riser. You know, you get them seasonally at Hobby Lobby with the dishes and things, and they're not expensive. I like to get mine when they're on clearance. And sometimes I can find them at the thrift store. So just a little hot glue. This is not heavy. It won't be a heavy arrangement. If you're going to give it as a gift, I recommend that you do use some E6000 or some type of a super glue so that it stays in place. And you might also want to glue down your piece of foam as well if you're going to give it as a gift, in case it gets knocked over. All right, so I'm going to take this pretty little foam and ribbon, and I'm going to go over the edges of the bottom of this because I don't want those the little pieces where you connect the basket together or the little slits that are there. I don't want those necessarily to show in this. So if I do it this way, I can cover those up, and it also gives me just the tiniest bit of ruffle on the edge. So rather than this being just scalloped on the top, it almost gives it a little scallop on the bottom. I'm not using a lot, and protect your fingers because this is hot glue and this is a ribbon that has hollowed out areas in it. But how pretty with the little pearl beads in there. Really sells that vintage look in my opinion. All right, when we get back around, we'll just trim it off. And because I used just little slits and didn't go in a circle around, I can adjust it if it's not straight. And I did get a little bump of green on there. Fix it with some white paint, not a problem. Then I'm going to decide how tall I want my little greenery basket to be. And then I'll work with that height. These pieces I got these were from maybe from the Amazon. I think it's like an Amazon overstock type of thing. There's a store called Dirt Cheap that I frequent. I love the store because they have closeout bargain prices. And they're also, some of them have stores where they sell Amazon overstock. Yeah. So I got a huge box of these for like, it might have been the day that it was like $2. My daughter found them. We like to go together with my grandson. And yeah, we find all kinds of greenery and pretty stuff in there. And I go through the greenery. Y'all know I do. Okay, so you can see how I've done it. We've got a rounded edge, and this one's kind of upward a little bit more than the other one. Because it's small, I want it to have that. I don't want it to take up a lot of room. Because I'm thinking in an arrangement like this, it's another situation where if you have a small space and you want to give a little gift of sunshine to somebody that you love, perhaps in the hospital, nursing home, maybe a secretary or someone who works in an office that doesn't have a lot of space, but you just want to give them a little bit of sunshine in that little dark fluorescent light room, then this is a great way to do it. You're not going to take up a lot of space, doesn't cost a lot of money, and the sentiment is so sweet, right? Even if they're fake flowers. I mean, some hospitals won't allow live flowers anyway, or live plants, so consider that too. So I'm just going to add these in, and these are not in any particular order. I'm just poking them here and there. This is not symmetrical. I'm also adding in a little more greenery where I feel like I want it. Keeping in mind that the seam of that basket needs to be in the back. I don't want that showing in the front. And then the greenery that came off of those beautiful little, it almost looks like clover, doesn't it? The little clover flowers, like red clover, it almost looks like that. Okay, just added them here and there. Love this purple and yellow together, and it reminds me of pansies in springtime. So I painted the back of her yellow, and I'm using a yellow stick. There we go. So if you don't want to use the other technique where you put the paper on the back, you don't have to. She's going to be hidden down in there. She's going to be kind of nestled in. I'm going to use a furniture repair marker to age this. So if you don't have Waverly wax, you can get 3 packs of furniture repair markers at Dollar Tree. And they are permanent, so be very careful how you place them. You're not going to have the freedom of moving it around like you would a wax. But if you just dot it on, you can really make a difference to get that white edge off and to make your items look a little more aged. So I'll show you in just a moment. Doesn't that look better? I think that looks better. And then I'm going to place her down in here. Cut the stick if you need to so you don't, puncture anything. But look how cute she is. She is a precious little thing. Yes, indeed. All right. Now I can take that little chick. I got the wire pushed in and then turned at an angle. The little hot glue holding it in place. I'm just going to find a little place for this little chick to nest. I wish I had a little duck, but all I had was a little chick. I'm going to put her in there and add a couple of leaves. Just kind of glued them down so it looks like she's standing in the leaves. Look at it from all sides. If you need to move something around, you can move it around. Yeah, this would make a really cute gift. So super sweet. So here are those 3 pieces together. We have the gift idea, very small, very cute, doesn't take a lot of time to do it. And you could actually use scrap ribbons, scrap flowers, as long as they're in a springy color, if you're going to be giving it in the springtime for a little bit of additional joy in somebody's day. We aged up this frame, added a little dimension to the bottom of it, a little extra something down there. And then there's the box looking all rustic and vintage. And look at her with her little bonnet on. She is precious. And you could actually use these on into Easter as well. Love it. If you enjoyed what you've seen in this video today, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. If you enjoyed the content, also, I would love it if you could share the video and to give it a thumbs up. All these things that you do help my channel tremendously, and helps it to grow so that I can help you to grow on your crafting journey. Thank you for all the happy mail I've been getting recently from my subscribers. It has been so sweet and so welcome. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank you for stopping by today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.